All right, guys, welcome back to another episode of the A Better Me Equals a Better We podcast. Typically, I would say I'm your host, Trey, but because of this very special episode, I decided to have one of my good friends, Dominique, host this episode. I will be a guest on the podcast today. So Dominique is going to be your host today. And I actually brought along another great person of mine, Lene, to be a part of this episode. So Dominique, how about you introduce yourself for our viewers that may not have seen you and tell them a little bit about yourself.
Yes, so Dominique Jones, you're a great host for just this podcast. I'll try not to outshine Trey too much, um, but just Brooklyn native because I always say that. I'm in Florida and I've been here for a little while, but I'm from New York. I'm from Brooklyn, so just want to make sure that's known. And I'm just happy to be here. I can go through all the credentials. I have a master's in social work. I do mental health therapy. For those that have seen me on the podcast before, I pretty much spoke on that topic. But I am coming in a different capacity, which is host. So I'm just excited to hear what everybody has to say about this. So yeah, that's me.
All right. And Lene, why don't you introduce yourself for our viewers and tell them a little bit about yourself?
I'm Lene. I'm a mother of one daughter, so that's why this podcast is very important to me. And I have a host of other daughters that they might not have been biological, but they're mine.
Wow.
And I'm ready to talk about this. I'm very
Yeah.
excited. Very good topic.
Listen, I'm telling you guys right now, when I was thinking about topics to do, I was actually going to do a topic on nutrition. But every day I saw Lene, like at some point in the day, she was like, I just cannot believe that this happened. Like since this event took place. And if you guys don't know, episode 27, the title of this episode is Innocent or Not So Innocent Bystanders. And we're talking about an incident, an horrific event that happened on a train near Philadelphia where a woman was raped. Some of the reports say that it happened for more than 24 stops. For about 8 minutes. And this woman, again, was raped on a public train. There were reports that people recorded the videos. There have been reports where police are saying that maybe people did not. But the facts remain that there were people there, and this event was still able to take place for the length that it took place of, which is so crazy to me. But without further ado, I'm going to hand it over to Dominique and let's just get the conversation rolling. Like,
This topic. So first of all, this topic is very sensitive. I want to keep people in mind that this can trigger a lot of things. So I want to be sensitive to the different opinions, the different things that will be in comments or be said here. So I just want everyone to know this is a safe space. This is a free space. Speak how you need to speak. Talk how you want to talk, and we'll just dive into it as much as we can. I am a big person where I feel like we can't be scared to talk about the ugly. And unfortunately, this is something ugly, but it can't be swept under the rug. So let's get to it. So as Trey stated, it was reported that a woman was being raped on a train near Philadelphia. So the recording shows that the accuser was attempting to touch her at first. She was telling him no, pushing him away, and then he proceeded to rip off her clothes and go into the actual sexual assault. And they say that the accuser was homeless. He was not armed during the attack. It was not until a transportation employee got on the train, saw what was happening, and called 911, and then the police officer ran onto the train, caught the man in the act. So that means, you have a police officer seeing it, and took him into custody. So reading this, I don't really know what disturbed me more. The fact that we have a rape, of course, again, that is just a topic that's just always wrong. But the next idea of just people being on the train and no one intervening. So no one intervening for 8 minutes. It showed the recording shows that people are on the train. So it's not like it shows, people coming off, it shows people on the train for the 8 minutes. So, Lene, I want to go to you first because as a woman, I want to first of all, I just want to hear your opinion straight out. After you read a report like this, I know as a woman yourself, as a mother, as a mentor, as whoever, I want to hear just your outright, straight, raw, authentic feelings about it.
Well, personally, I think he's a punk. I think all the people that was there, they need to be prosecuted just as well as he, because there's no way you could just stand there and watch someone rape a woman when this could be your mother, this could be your daughter, this could be your woman. You know, how can you just stand there and think it is okay? That means something's wrong with you. Now, you might can understand if it was another woman, she's a little scared, she's scared he might turn on her. But when you get off that train, the first thing you should have did was run to that conductor. When you did, nobody said nothing. Like, went by their business like it was okay. What is wrong with people now?
Yeah.
What is something actually wrong with our society if we're allowing this to happen, that is becoming like a everyday, oh, it's okay, let me just walk down the street and go on home by my business, the girl got raped, so what? That doesn't make sense to me. We all get together and we jump his behind and stop him from doing the things that he's doing. It just don't make sense to me.
Yeah, I think that I just saw a comment. I'm pretty sure that this is disgusting to many people. So Trey, I mean, I know you're speaking from a man's perspective. But I want to give you a chance to just your raw authentic before I question and do what I do. How do you feel about what has been reported, what we've seen, what's going on in your head?
I just personally, just to piggyback off of what Lene said, like I don't understand how there can be people present and nothing is done, right? And this is something that we've talked about in our home, that we've talked about for a while now, where we've explored just different ideas of what could be going through people's heads, right? Because it's easy to say like, that couldn't happen if I was there or whatever, but you don't know what kind of person was there. Like if they feared for their life, right? Like what if they were like, all right, I don't know what he's going to do to me, or but like Lene said, like I'm pretty sure every train has an emergency stop button on it. I'm pretty sure that if you were on that train and you got off, like you could, even if you wanted to do it discreetly, like and run to the conductor or I don't know if it's like this in Philly, but I know in New York City trains, they have like that person that's like midway on the train that closes the door. Even if you wanted to go to them, like, hey, listen, something's going on, because you are afraid that, if maybe when, if he got out or he saw you, that he would do, like, there's so many different ways that someone could have helped, right? From the reports that I read, they said that there was only one lone 911 call. And that was from that trained employee, right? So even if you are a person who discreetly called 911, right? There's so many different ways that you could help. So for me, it's just so confusing and just so baffling. Like even if you're not that person, we're not asking for everyone to be a vigilante, just for you to turn into Batman and like we're not asking for that.
Hero. Yeah, nobody's asking that.
But a hero looks like so many different things, right? This situation could have been affected in so many different ways. Just something as simple as calling 911, right? Because like you said, this could be my mother. This could be someone's mother, someone's sister, someone's wife. Just so many different things. So for me, I'm just disgusted. Not just at the act, because rape is a horrible thing, right? I just want to say that outright. Rape is a horrible thing, but for a rape to happen publicly for that amount of time, 8 minutes, that's like a life sentence in jail to be raped. Like 8 minutes, and for there to be people there and one lone 911 call, it's just crazy to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, can you imagine the faith that she probably have in people now? She has no faith in anybody that will ever help her. Who would want to go outside?
No. So I wanted to touch on something because, are we in a climate when it comes to our culture and our this generation and wherever we're at, this climate, do you feel that fear, whether it's fear of maybe it happening to them, or just whatever the fear or whatever their reasoning is for not, this sense of numbness, that may cause you to not intervene or be that person that will do something? Do you feel like this is something that's ongoing? So outside of just this specific situation, we look at, this was a hanging question about people not intervening when it came to, the Black Lives Matter movement. And we saw, a lot of public recordings of, police shootings and different things. Do you feel like this is something that's kind of leaking into other things, such as public sexual assault now? Like, do we feel like this is something that's kind of happening now? And that's for anybody. I don't know, Trey, you want to take that question? But do we feel like the numbness that we're kind of feeling now, another death or another rape or another this is kind of causing a sense of like, maybe I'm not going to do anything? Like,
Yeah. I definitely think that we're in a world now where it's sad to say, but people would rather live stream an assault. People would rather live stream a crime. People would rather, like, we look at even situations with the gentleman, George Floyd, who had the knee on his neck, right? I'm not saying that someone should have assaulted that police officer and got him off of him. And yes, there were people, yelling in the background and, telling them to stop. But we look at situations like that where people are dying on camera. There are assaults, rapes on camera, like fights, right? And it's so crazy because I know a lot of people that love a good fight video, right? Like they love to see, they fight and they this, they that, right? But what about the ramifications of after the fact, right? Like you saw this person, and I'm just being raw and candid. Like you saw this person get knocked out on camera and their body got stiff and they laid down. But how did that person, how has that person's life changed after that, right?
Wow.
Is that person still mentally stable? I've seen people get knocked out in person, right? And they've had PTSD since then, right? They wake up, they don't know where they are, what happened. They then have the possibility of having like fear of crowds and just fear of being around other things. And I say all of that to say it's sad, but we are in an age where things like that is just when people see traumatic experiences happen, rather than helping or finding a way to help, right? Like even if you're not the person, if you don't want to be that vigilante and you're not going to help, people would rather sit back and I guess wait for someone else to help, like before they take the lead.
Yeah. Okay. So, all right. So now we're talking about, because I saw somebody, desensitizing, and we start talking about, that. And then I also saw somebody say that, usually people feel safe in the daytime, right? So we've kind of conditioned ourselves, because desensitizing is also a form of conditioning in the mind, right? So let's talk about the conditions, right? So we're looking at, now this was said to be, I believe around 10 p.m. So we are talking later in the evening, if I'm not mistaken. So, people tend to feel a little bit more safe in the daytime. However, I wanted to just touch on just some basic statistics, because statistically in the US, they also did a global one, but in the US, women always showcase and report that they feel unsafe walking to and fro from wherever it may be. So it can be to their local store, it can be to the grocery store, it can be wherever. They feel a lot more threatened and unsafe versus men, right? So one of the things that came to my mind when this came on, and I spoke to Trey because I was just like, I'm so confused, is we don't know. It doesn't report, the sex, like Lene said. It doesn't say, if it was females on the train, if it was males on the train. But in my mind, I'm thinking, if there is a male on this train, right? We have a woman who is being raped, and we have this man on this train, and we have nothing happening.
Right.
So once again, I'm thinking, if there's a man on this train, another woman has fell victim to a man not being there, not being the security, not being what we may need in that moment. to protect us, because we are weaker than men. Like physically, we are usually weaker than men. I'm not saying you got some bodybuilders out there, they might knock you out, but averagely a woman is much smaller in frame, we're just weaker. So I want to talk on that too, because there is this sense of, a man was on the train. There are people that are kind of, bringing that out. So if there was a man on a train, Lene, how do you feel if there's a man on this train and you think about this woman getting raped for 8 minutes, and there's a man in the corner sitting in the seat or standing up or whatever he's doing, and he is not intervening? I just need a woman to speak on that.
Well, I think that that wouldn't be a man to me.
Mm.
I think that for him to sit there and watch another man do that, he is part of the problem. He, for him to not to even help or say scream out to the guy, or to nothing. I just think that's a weak piece of man.
Mm.
He's he has his own issues, obviously. But I think that if it was, let's just say, if it was just three women on the train, if all three of y'all come together and
Right.
jump on that man's back, that woman wouldn't get raped. You all can do it together. But a
Right.
lot of times people are not working together.
Right.
They're thinking, oh, if I do this, no, if I do this and you do this and you do this, we gonna get him off of this girl. We gonna get on top of him. We gonna kick his
Right.
behind. We gonna do whatever we have to do until the
Right.
next stop. And then if we gotta run, we gotta run then. But we all gonna run together. We all gonna fight together. We all gonna go down together.
Mm.
Because that's one sister that did not get raped.
Mm.
Until someone have ever experienced um, rape or sexual assault or anything in that order, they would never understand what this woman felt and will continue to feel for the
Right.
rest of her life.
Yeah. It reminds me of, when you hear about different women in different situations, whether it's sexual assault, whether it's domestic violence, whether it's whatever topic, when it comes to women, unfortunately, we tend to hear, a lot of, well, that's not my problem. We hear this a lot, like not even just in woman issues, but just in general, that's not my problem, or, that's not my business, that's their situation. Even when it comes to like Black Lives Matter, that's a Black people issue. When it comes to women's rights, that's a woman problem.
Right.
And unfortunately, I think that's the mindset that we now have, and it affects how we choose to be that bystander, that innocent or not so innocent bystander. That's kind of what shapes the mindset of that. So I really just want to know, when it comes to having this mindset of like, well, that's not my problem, or that's not my issue, or hey, that's they got to deal with that. That's not, mind your own house. My grandma would say, mind your own house. How does
I know
that
that saying.
mentality, right? How does that mentality though now affect that bystander who's saying, this is not my business? What do we tell those people?
Well, I think you have to stand for something, you know, and to say that that's not my problem. We all live here together. So whatever is your problem is my problem. So if we have to stand together with certain issues, yeah, certain things you say, okay, let me just stay out of that one. But the majority of issues that relate to everybody, people have to get involved. People have to, or we all. What's the difference between us and an animal? We have to have some difference. We're supposed to know better to do better.
Right. Right.
I don't understand. I really don't understand those people that they was on this train to watch it. They fail to even show their faces, and some of them, I think I read, um, they don't even know who. The police don't know who they are. They want them to come forward, but
Mm-hmm.
if they didn't come forward then, they're not gonna come forward
That
now.
makes sense. Yeah. Yeah.
So, but you have to get involved.
Yeah, there's such a lack of involvement in so many things, and it just shows that when it trickles down into these specific events, and it's so sad. I always see Trey do this, so I'm gonna make sure I do it. I don't wanna rule out any voices, any voices, because this is a every person's podcast, not just him. So, I want to read some of these comments. I saw Natalie. She said people would have to be more empathetic. I'm assuming she's talking about, the topic that you just talked about, Lene, which is absolutely correct. And the thing is, I always say, empathy is not something that people can just learn from a textbook, right? You can't go to school and, just learn and read how to get the algorithm of empathy.
Yeah.
You kind of have to, that's something that's developed. It's something that's built over time, maybe. I don't know, but Trey, maybe we could talk on that. Empathy, right? What is the role of empathy when it comes to these type of events, when you are a bystander looking in on a woman, having, being sexually assaulted or anything? What is the role of empathy in this situation?
I think that so many times we look at sympathy, right? And we look at when we're feeling down, and we want people to sympathize with us. And to be honest with you, at a certain point in my life, I didn't know the difference between sympathy and empathy, right? I thought they were the same thing. Right. And it wasn't until I was working for a car insurance company. I won't say which one, but it was a pretty well-known car insurance company, and they told us, and I was in the claims department. They were telling us that one of the biggest things that we had to learn how to do, taking people's claims, was being able to empathize with them. And the reason why that was so important is because, yes, some people get into accidents and their rear ends, or, fender benders, or they come outside and, their mirror is missing and stuff. But then I've also been on the phone with people personally who are literally on the side of the road, car on the other side of the road. They have 3 children with them. They're trying to pull the children out the street. The cops haven't gotten there yet. One of them is crying, right? And instead of now you having a job to take 100 calls a day, right? This might be call number 5, right? So you might be someone who's saying, okay, I got to do my job, get off this phone so I can go take the other 95 of these, right? But understanding that now I have to now take myself and what I might be feeling in this moment and relate to what this woman could be feeling in this moment, right? And think about something that's bigger than me right now. And I think that's one of the things that we forget nowadays. I feel like when I say we, I mean like the vast majority. Right. It's so me-centered. Right. Like, well, I feel like this, that don't have nothing to do with me. We weren't created to be alone. And if you look at everything, any kind of job that you may have, I don't care if it's customer service, I don't care if you work with construction, I don't care if you fast food, garbage, whatever you do, it's to serve somebody else. And I think we forget that our job is to serve each other, right? Like to work as a unit, so that our community as people work, right? And we make it so us-centered that we just forget to see how somebody else might be feeling. Now bringing all of that into this situation, yes, if someone is getting raped on a train and I'm there, that's not my business. Like, it's not me. Like, I don't know this person from a hole in the wall, right? Let's just be honest. That's not me. That's not my sister. That's not my mother. That's not my lover. That's not. But at the end of the day, now it's up to me as a human being to say, I have to get outside of myself and my relationship with this person and say, wait, but that's not a great situation for her to be in. What must she feel like being in that situation? Right. What could happen if I allow this situation to go on? There are so many different things, not just mental damage, physical damages. There are diseases, right? Like, there's worse things out here than babies, right? It's just so many different things, right? When we talk about empathy and now taking yourself from outside of yourself, right? 10 p.m., I just got off a 10-hour shift. I'm tired. I don't know what's going on over there. But again, how does this person, like what would that be like if that was me, right? And I think that sometimes rather than looking and saying, oh my God, and having sympathy, we need to have more empathy and say, listen, if this was my loved one, if I was in their shoes, like, this would be such a different story, right? And understanding that as people, our job, really any job that you have, is to help another person. So we can't forget that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um Casey had put on here, she said, what happened to the village in the world today? The village is broken.
It is
And
broken.
I saw it, right, and I saw Trey, you said we stopped being the village, and people are agreeing with that, and I just want to touch on that. So when did the village stop, right? And I know so many people can say, well, we always trace it back to slavery, and we always trace it back to these things, and I get that, right? But even in slavery, you hear of the times that they had those moments of village. They have those moments of coming together. We come into now, I feel like they become less and less. I feel like the village is literally not even just a broken thing anymore. I don't even know if there is a village at this point, because like you said, everything is so me centered. So when we talk about empathy, and we talk about a village, it take a village to raise this, and it takes a village, it takes unity. How do we get to this village again? How do we rebuild the village so that these assaults and these things can't happen so publicly, where they feel like evil and wrong and these type of things can just freely happen, like without a consequence, without a stop, without, like, I'm just thinking about like the Black Panther movement. I'm thinking about how they policed our own communities. Like, I'm just thinking about like certain things, and I'm like, when do we rebuild the village? When do we not allow, when that is taken away and tore down, and now we just keep it out? When do we rebuild that? When does that come back into communities, into people that's going to protect us, whether it's women, whether it's men, whoever? But where's the village? How do we rebuild it?
I think if we start rebuilding, a lot of people need to rebuild their family.
Ooh,
because there's a lot of broken families.
That's good.
Right? If you start with your family, you always had Big Mama house you go to, where your aunts and uncles and everybody used to come there, and we used to cook, we used to dance, we used to play cards, have our drinks, we all, and we were just bonding, and then neighbors would come over. And then they become our family. They become our aunts. We don't look. 10 years ago we didn't know them, but now they are aunts. They are uncles. People upstairs. They become the family. The people in the buildings, people in your houses next door to you, become your family. The kids grow up together. They become like cousins. And it grows in that way. I don't think we have that like we used to have that.
I agree. And if I could just piggyback off of that,
right? Because I was just about to say, Trey, you jump in, because
listen,
I want to hear the family.
When she said that, I was actually thinking that, like, if I was going to answer that question, I would have said the same thing. I love the fact that we have someone like Lene on the podcast today, because she was from that era, right, where families were, like, to be honest with you, she, like, our generation, we probably had it a little bit. That's when it was kind of like falling away. But Lene's generation was really probably like the last of the Mohegans, right? When it came to that, she was really, so her generation, and maybe a little bit younger than her, they were able to really experience that family. And I was too, but I know that it was different because I would hear the way my parents talked about it and stuff. But if I really want to be transparent, it's parenting. It really falls down to parenting when we talk about village, because you have a lot of parents these days that don't want to allow the village to help their child. Like, and now you have kids that like, oh, well, my mother said, and don't try to tell me nothing, and nobody better not say nothing to my kid. And but your kid is running wild, so you don't want no one else to say anything to your kid, but you're not going to say nothing to your kid. And now your kid just walking around here and running around. And now, if your family can't say anything to your kid, now your kid creates a new family, which is not going to be like family. And when they fail, they already don't feel like their blood family is family. So now you got everybody just running around here for self. They don't respect you. They don't respect the person next to them. They don't respect their family because they've been taught not to respect anyone. And you allow them to do whatever they want to do. So I think one of those things is really, 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 really parenting, like, and parents really allowing that village to be a village, right? I can say I want a village all I want, but Lene being my kid's grandmother, right? I can say I want a village all I want, but if Lene goes to chastise my child and I say don't say nothing to them, then how can she help them, right? If she goes to help them with their homework and I'm like, don't listen to grandma, don't listen to me, ma, like how is that and we have a lot of that, right? So I think aside from the fact that we're kind of drifting apart, I think that there's also issues with the way that we're parenting our kids and things that we're teaching our family and just the climate of the world, like, oh, forget family and you can have friends closer to family. That's cool. I get that you can have friends that's like family, but for me, family is still family. Like, and I think that's one of the things we got to get back to.
Yeah.
Definitely.
So, well, first of all, Lene, you preaching, because that was on point. Like everyone, Natalie said, you hit it on the head. Like that their families. I think that's so important because when you get to the root of like this whole me-centered sense of attitude, sometimes, like, a lot of parents parent, I notice, from like what they. I'm not going to raise my child the way this person raised me. I'm going to give my child what I didn't have. And that's all great. But there is such a lack of unity when it comes to that, because now you have grandma can't be involved with mom and mom can't be involved with aunt and the aunt and the sister beefing over here. And like, there is no sense of unity. And by the time that child gets out of the house, they trying to be about me because they just don't want to be worried about anybody else, because you have kids, they all mixed up. Then I heard someone, I think Valerie, she said definitely now children are raising their parents. You have 12-year-old, 11-year-old, 13-year-old raising parents. By the time they get 16 in high school, they are very much me-centered because they are tired. They are carrying a burden that is built for an adult. They are carrying these burdens and they're tired. So now we have a whole generation that's just, I'm tired and I refuse to go through this like how my mom did or how my dad did or what I saw my grandma go through. And now they're tired. So how do we, because as we're talking about this village and as we talk about, because we're going to talk about this Good Samaritan law, because that was another thing that was getting me right there. But as we talk about, when we speak about good Samaritans and good people and these different things, how can we get these kids now? Because now it's at a place where 16, 17, 15, they are 25 and they are on their own. They are doing their own things. They're moving. It's a different time. So how do we talk to them now that the village is, the village is broken? It's been dismantled. How do we get our kids back? How do we start to reignite that unity attitude outside of family? Because I'm in Florida, where we have one of the worst foster care systems in the world. We have kids every day in the foster care system being added, being new additions. And it's just coming to a place where some parents are losing those rights. Like I see it every day. They are terminating parents' rights left and right, and they don't get that reconnection back. So now we have people, the village that we tried to dismantle, now we have to trust that there are other people out here that will raise those kids right. But they have to fight through so much trauma and so much battling and so much different things. So how do we talk, Lene, you as a mom, what would you say to, a young mom or just a teen who doesn't, maybe doesn't have that connection with their mother, doesn't have that connection with their dad, whatever it may be? How would you talk? Let's say they just happen to scroll past this live and they just clicking on right now, and you can say something to them to get that village mentality back. What would you say?
I say, one, don't look at the past. Don't look at how your mom did or your dad did. Look at yourself. Start with yourself. You could break that curse. Especially if you have a child yourself. You know what you don't want. You know how you don't want your mother to don't want you don't you sorry you know how your mother treated you and what you don't want from that, so you know what you need to give to yours. So I say work on yourself and give that to your child, give that to people around you, and build from there.
Yeah,
Mm.
I think yeah, I
absolutely.
think if you build from there, I think you'll be so much happier. And then I also say everybody's not a prayer, but I'm a prayer, and prayers are real. And I'd say lean on the Lord, because He will show you the way.
Yes.
Um, and he will guide you. You just have to trust Him and open up. And you also have to know, I think, really look at yourself and be willing to look at the good, bad, and the ugly, and the real ugly. And when you could do that, you'll go for what you want,
That's
Yeah.
right.
and it'll flourish. It'll flourish.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. So Trey, you had mentioned something. You had said, and all the great things that you said, of course. You said that heroes, they pretty much have different faces, right? It's not one type of hero. They look different. And I kind of want to go back into just the specific event, because when we talk about, again, this village and building this village, I think about, again, the these bystanders on this train. I'm still trying to process, Lene. I'm still trying to
Oh,
wrap my brain around
let
it.
me tell you.
Yeah, but
Because when I
this,
thought about it, each time
uh-huh.
I thought about it during the day, I would say to myself, how could you just stand there and watch somebody do that to another human being? How can you go home and be like, oh, da, 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 oh, let me go look at TV, let me go play my music, let me do this, and disregard that woman like she's nothing. It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
I have so many thoughts about it, because I remember on a podcast that you had before, Trey, you talked about like mental health, but you brought on, oh man, I don't remember her name, forgive me, but she did like, yeah, I think she did like, she was talking about like TV and the psychology behind it and different
Oh,
things,
Cam.
right? And I'm just thinking about these things, because I'm thinking about how much, like, okay, we're looking at the fact, I just want to challenge the mindset real quick. We're looking at the fact that this was 8 minutes long, right? And someone's watching this. But I'm thinking about like movies that are 2 hours long that we watch, and we watch people, I mean, literally get tortured, get murdered, and I get that it's not real, right? But it's still something we're watching, it's still the sensation of something. So it's just, I just wonder, like, does that play a part in how desensitized we really are? Like, does this really truly play a part in how we view the real world, like our real
Oh yeah.
reality,
I
Oh
think
right?
so.
yeah. 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 And
Yeah,
I'll take it a step further. I'll even take it a step further, right? Aside from what people are watching, one, two, what we're allowing our children to watch, right? Because
right.
I just
Yeah.
saw a video, and I'm gonna go off topic for 2 seconds. I just saw a video where a guy, he's a comedian, and he was like, "Stop letting your young kids do grown things. Like, stop letting your young kids do adult things." Um, and a lot of us, I'm not going to say myself, but I feel like the generation under me and maybe the generation under them are allowed to watch and see things
Mhm.
that we weren't able to watch or see, as far as like graphic movies and arms being cut off. So then we have to think about the quality of movies, right? I watch some of these old movies now and I'm like, I was scared of this. This don't even look real.
Right.
I
Like,
know.
what?
Like, now when we watch movies and it looked like somebody got cut, oh no, it looked like they got cut for
It looks
I
real.
for
know.
real.
Yeah.
Right.
Like, what?
So
Yes.
aside from what we're all watching as a people, right? Now let's take it a step further to what is available to all of us as a people, right? And there's
Yeah.
one video that comes to my mind where I don't know if you guys saw this, but this was for me my first traumatic video I ever saw online, and I still remember it to this day. But now after seeing that, it's so regular seeing videos like this. There was a gentleman whose girlfriend had broke up with him. He was so upset over it, and he was walking around. He had a gun on him. He was walking around, and there was just a older gentleman like that just happened to be did not
that. Oh
from a
man.
can of paint. And he said, I don't know what the young lady's name was, but he was like, I just want to let you know that this is such and such fault. And the guy's looking at him like, what? And he shot the man on live.
Yeah, I remember
and
that.
and just shot the man on live because his girlfriend, because he was and I may have some of the details of the story wrong, but all in all, this man shot a random person on live because he was upset about something that was going on in his personal life. These are the videos that are like I'm almost sure that if I look this up on YouTube, I could probably find it, which means that my kid can find it. Like, so when we talk about being desensitized, like we saw a cop kneel on a man's neck.
Right.
We saw this man die. Like we literally, like we see death every day. And now they're starting to blur the videos out, which they should. But I say all that to say it's not just the movies, it's what's available to us online. We can see all of this stuff. And at this point, it just seems so normal, right? And even if you listen to the state of hip hop music, right? And it all sounds like murder, kill, death to me. Like, so yeah, desensitized is definitely an understatement, I should say.
Right.
I think some people are just getting so numb to things too that, you know, we, like you said, we do see the movies every day. We, you know, like I love an action movie. I'll sit there and be like this, you know, so, you know, and we watch the gory stuff and so it becomes part of us. So, you know, so we like, well, when's the next one coming? With part 2 or part 3, you know, but also you have to know that this is not real and that is real. You know, this is not real, that's real. You have to weigh being sensitive to people opposed to this is Hollywood.
Yeah.
You know?
Because that lady like forever. That's real. That lady getting raped is real. Like,
oh yeah, and she will live with it forever.
Yeah.
And definitely won't have no faith in the human beings.
Yeah. Nikki had wrote in here, the average American child will see 200,000 violent acts on television by age 18. Those numbers are, to me, that's crazy. that is just so mind-blowing to me. And when I think of, we talked about empathy, and I think of empathy making me want to do something, right? So I think sympathy, when I hear sympathy or when I'm sympathetic to someone, I can like visualize myself like, oh my gosh, I can't believe, like I feel like I'm not really active. But when I feel empathetic, I feel active. Like I want to advocate, I want to change something, I want to do something, I want to move, I want to do something. So this is going back to these bystanders on this train. When we go back to that, after everything we've talked about now, so we talked about empathy, we talked about the village, we talked about all this bystander stuff, and I was saying, Trey, you had mentioned something about, heroes looking different, right? Heroes just looking completely different. That, there's not one look to a hero. What would you say to the bystanders that felt like being a hero was that, that discreet 911 call? Because maybe they did, maybe there was that, real quick 911 call that we don't know about, right? Maybe there was. We don't really know much. But what do you say? Because a lot of people will go around and I'm empathetic to everyone. So I think I'm trying to put myself in the shoes of these bystanders and think, some of them could have been scared. Some of them could have been numb, whatever the reason may be. When you think back on it, when you look at them, like, how do you approach them? Because a lot of people will say, well, if I was on the train, I would have did this. And if I was on the train, I would have did that. But for them, that could have been just as traumatic. That could have been just as traumatic. So what do you say to this? How do we kind of fight this, not necessarily fight it, but how do we channel this type of conversation that most likely will come up? Put down pick up.
Yeah, that's my so for me, One, I would just let any bystander know that I don't judge you for what actions that you took. At the end of the day, I wouldn't have taken those actions. But I don't judge you for taking those actions or not taking those actions. When we talk about those bystanders being, innocent or not so innocent bystanders, they all had a way that they could have helped, right? Even something as simple as yelling or telling someone that what was going on, maybe someone that they felt, could have did something. We look at 9/11 and these people were on a plane
Right.
and they said, listen, like I think Nikki said it in earlier in the comments, like jump them, like,
Right.
like these people decided that. But the sad part is because we're so me centered that because the threat wasn't on the entire train didn't band together, right? Because the assault was just on this one woman. Then it was just like, well, then again, I don't even want to make it seem like that's why they did or why they didn't, because I really don't know. The one thing that I just keep saying is, in my personal opinion, I don't believe that that's something that could have happened in certain cities, in certain major cities, especially not the city where I'm from. We have hood vigilantes in New York City.
Everybody wants.
Yeah, I don't see something like that, happening in my city.
Yeah, I can't see it either.
I just think that again, like we have to get to a point. I understand the first law of nature is self-preservation, right? You have to make sure that you're good. But at the end of the day, if you're the person that's a bystander, you are good, right? You are preserved, right? So now, how can you help the person next to you, right? Because what if this was you? At the end of the day, like I know personally, it couldn't have been me, right? It couldn't have been me standing there doing nothing. And I'm not saying that I'd have ran up on them and we would have had to scrap, even though that's probably what would have happened, right? But even if I would have said, I'm going to make this phone call, I'm going to pull this emergency brake, like and that's why all of these different options came in my brain, because for me, I'm so people centered that I can think of a million different ways on how to help rather than that one reason why I can't, why I shouldn't.
Right.
And I think that that's with those bystanders. I think that either there's a possibility, I should say, that they just didn't care, or maybe they let fear take over and they harped on those reasons why they couldn't, instead of thinking about things that they could do. And just to make a difference, not to say that you would have saved it, but just to make a difference. Somebody else, like that lone 911 call that they said that there was, that made a difference. Like that guy didn't come in to pull the guy off, but his call, it made the way for a police officer to come in and do their job, right? So there's more than one different way to help in any situation, right? But especially something like this is just crazy. Like it's horrific.
Yeah. I'm thinking about, Oh, go ahead, Lenny. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. And I get it, being on the train, it's 10 o'clock at night, you're scared. I could see a woman being scared and not being able to think that they can make a difference or stop him, or maybe he might turn on me and nobody will help me. I understand that, but for the men to not help, that I really just can't understand at all. Because like you said, men are so much stronger than a woman. And if it's two men on that train, you two men get to come together and knock him out.
Yeah. I wanna touch on, because the main, I mean, the bystanders is pretty much the topic of this particular podcast, not to negate any other topic, the topic of rape, sexual assault, safety. I'm sure Trey will have amazing podcasts about all those topics, but just in particular, I'm just wondering, because okay, so we have this Good Samaritan law, right, which is in a sense a way to protect people that choose to kind of go out on good faith and assist in some form or fashion, right? Now, what probes me to really talk about this before we end off is the fact that there's a law that literally had to protect someone that wanted to do an act of kindness. So, like, for example, there are certain restaurants. I know there are certain restaurants or grocery stores or different things. They may have like leftover food, leftover, groceries or certain, just cooked food that they may have cooked, and they would give it to, maybe different people that, homeless people, people that just needed food, different things. And people would start to sue these people if they got sick or something
Oh,
happened
yes,
or different
yes.
things. You get what I'm saying? And now the intent, because the intent wasn't I'm trying to hurt you. The intent was I have this food, at your own risk, you're taking it, but I have it, and there's a need. But now that turns to bite them, right back. So now, in a sense, there's this law now that has to protect those type of people. But at the same time, there's still this risk of, well, what if this turns back and bites me, bites me right back? Like Lene said, what if they don't protect me? What if, I'm the one that ends up on the ground next? So when we have this Good Samaritan law, and I think about it, I just think of the fact that this is something that again shows that the natural act of kindness that may come out of people that want to help may be restricted. It may be something that again it's just a lot of different things that can trigger people to freeze and stop and not act in that way. As bystanders moving forward, when it comes to women, when it comes to children, because we know we already talk about child abuse. You have your mandated reporting, you have your whatever you have in your local state. When it comes to women specifically, how do we protect our women? How do we go about this being the Good Samaritan all the time? We are protected by law to do this. You do not have to worry, if you are moving in good faith and good intention, most states they have it. How do we protect our women now? How do we protect our women? At 10 p.m., we have nurses. Most people in the nursing field are women. We have a lot of women out here on trains and buses. The holidays are coming up. Unfortunately, when holidays come up, we see an increase in robbery. We see an increase in violence. We see an increase in a lot of different things as the holiday season come up. So like some of the tips I looked up was like, I know a lot of women like to carry like purses on their hands. You got your little Louis Vuitton or whatever you got on your hand. But they recommend maybe a crossbody so that someone doesn't just snatch something away or you don't attract something. Just these little tips. I don't know if you have any, but some of those tips that we can just kind of have. I see Natalie said take several defense classes, which is true. Get you a gun, period, dot, exclamation point, whatever you want to put behind that. Get you some protection. If you know that you are on a field where you leave late at night, if you're driving, try to park close by. Try to park where it's very well lit. I know that again we're talking about a situation that happened in public, so it's kind of hard to kind of try to trust that you'll still be safe even if you're by yourself. But in this incident, if we do have any of the tips in the comments, you can also put it, just some tips that you may have for, somebody, your daughter, your sister, your mom, your grandmother, some things that you can put. I ask that you, if you have any, you can say now, and please make sure you put them in the comments. Let them know when you share this, put your little tip on it too, do whatever you need to do. But how can we, what are some tips that we have to keep our women safe, because we're vulnerable?
Well, the funny thing that you said that, because last Christmas I decided to buy all my daughters like a defensive kit, and in there, I wish I had it available. I wasn't thinking before this, but it's a little device. It was circled. It goes on your key ring, and if someone tries to come at you, all you have to do is pull it out, and it would be like a siren, and it would like that, really, really loud. And then I also gave them a device. Also, you could put it on your key ring, and if anything, when you're walking, you just put it on into your fingers, and it's like a pointer. So if somebody come up onto you, you jig them and you run, or whatever you have to do. But it was a way of just getting away out of harm's way.
Right.
They have a lot of things on Amazon that you can buy to help just yourself when you're walking down the street, going into the building by yourself. They have little flashlights that you could put on your key ring. Like I said, little sirens, little defense items, and that's, you have to help yourself also.
You have to,
Yeah.
man. You have to.
I
I'm
agree.
just, yeah. I'm sorry. I'm just thinking about, the video when it comes to, the young lady walking into her apartment and the man literally runs and tries
Oh
to get into,
yes,
like little stuff like that. And I'm just thinking because women have always been like they've always been a target. Like I'm not saying men are not targets, but in this specific event, women are targets. Like we are really targets. So I'm just thinking about that. So like I said, I do. So if you have iPhones, that's great. Y'all can share your location. Share your location with somebody.
I'm
Put
telling
your location in there. I don't care where you access. Ain't no judgment. Just put it in there. Share it with your mom. Share it with your sister. Share it with someone. If you have
you.
Android, and they don't share locations like that. They have Life 360. They have many different apps where you can share your location. But share your location with people that you trust.
You know what's so
Because
crazy, Dominique? They
yeah,
actually have the ability to share locations on Facebook Messenger. So
yeah,
and I'm real big on that. Like my little sister, she's 19. She just hosted last week's episode. She's 19 years old, and of course, 19-year-olds, they hang out and they have friends and stuff. And I'm real big on that, right? Like anybody will tell you, my sister is grown with a kid, and when my sister get in, like send me your location, let me know where you at. I do that to all of my siblings, everybody that I know. Let me know when you get in. I ain't trying to be your daddy. I just want to make sure you all right.
that's
Um,
it.
and I need to know where you are at all times, right? I need to know where you are
right.
at all times, and I think that's another thing that would be another good tip. Even if you don't share your location, let somebody know where you are.
Yeah.
So that way, I know my mom. If I was somewhere, let's say if I told my mom I was going up the block, and then I decided to go somewhere else, and something happened up the block, my mother was extremely worried because she knew I was in that direction, right?
Yeah,
So. Um, just letting somebody know where you are, even
Right.
if it may not be you, right? But if something comes on the news, I know, hey, somebody I love is in this vicinity. Let me, like, you know what I'm saying? You know how many times they have, coroner reports, they can't identify the body, and
Absolutely.
nobody knows or can identify because they thought you were on the other side of town, right?
Right.
I think that's one thing. Just talking to somebody, hey, this is where I'm going. Yes, I'm taking the train or I'm taking the cab, and letting somebody know when you get there. I know Valerie said in the comments, stay on your phone. Talking. Make notifications of what's going on, what's around you. I know that's one thing that my sisters do. Like if something's going on with them or something like that, and they feel like something a little funny, they'll call me. Like, we ain't talking about nothing really, but no, I just want to be on the phone with you real quick and stuff like that.
Right.
And where I'm at, right?
Absolutely.
Just be aware of your
Man,
surroundings, right? That's
right.
be aware of your surroundings. If anything looks funny, whether it's a phone call, whether it's a scream, whether it's just try to find help as quick as possible.
yeah.
Absolutely.
When my daughter, when we was in the city, and my daughter used to go out, I would tell her, like, if she was in a cab and she calls me, I said, "Oh, you in a cab?" She was like, "Yeah, I'm in a cab with his name is Tony. Yeah, I'm in a cab with Tony." So that would let me know that his name is Tony because she read it on his license on the license
Right.
Mhm.
that they normally have. So I said, "Oh, so now I go, is he black? Is he white? Is he Spanish? Is he Chinese? Is he? Yes, mom. No, no, mom. Yes, mom." So now I know that's Tony. That's whatever nationality. So so I know if my child, if I have to call the police, at least I know something. And I think that we
Right.
have to do those little things too.
Yeah, we can't be afraid to do those little safety checks. I know whenever I had anybody, any young girl I see, if they friends of, my goddaughter, anybody, if I see them in a Lyft, in an Uber, I say, hey, let me see your phone. Make sure the license plate matches up. Make sure,
That's
like,
right.
make sure you keep it on. You keep your location on. You let us know when you get there. Like, if you make sure when you get in the car, you make sure you can open your door just in case
That's
the
right.
child lock is on. Like, you make sure you are
That's
good
right.
before you get into these cars because
That's right.
people are crazy. There are
I'm
some
telling
people that are truly crazy
There's
out
a lot
here,
of nuts out
and
there.
we want to make sure we're safe. Yeah.
too many nuts. I'm gonna need Natalie to stop telling on me.
Right, because you do that to old folks too.
I'm gonna need Natalie to stop
It's
telling
all
on
right,
me.
Trey. I do that to my mom. My mom be calling me all the time. Like, first of all, you are not my mother. I'll be like, look, I see you driving and you was driving 80 miles per hour. Where you going that fast?
Listen,
Slow down.
you know we good for that. Calling our parents like, where you
Right.
at? I
Right.
thought I was the parent. Listen, we
Right.
just gotta make sure that you good. You
Right.
ever? I don't know if y'all remember them commercials back in the day where it'd be like it's 10 p.m. Do you know where your kid
You know
is?
your right.
Yeah.
Do you know where your mom is? I surely
Right.
do.
Right. I know where my mother at. Where
I
you at?
surely do know where my mother is.
To this day, I know my mother. Where you at? All
Ain't
right.
no games out here.
Listen,
Hey.
Oh man.
covered so much
Yeah, I
stuff
lied.
today, like so much stuff today. It was amazing. I'm just so excited, right? You know how like when you I always tell people this when you have a kid and you're very selective about who you let watch your kid, right? Because you don't know if they're gonna watch your
Yeah.
kid or kid like how you handle like your kid or whatever, right? But I'm gonna be honest with you, Dominique. You came in here and you handled my kid with care. Like you handled my kid.
Great
You did your
job. Great
research.
job.
You did your research. You gave us so much information. Like this episode for me was one of my favorites, just because of the involvement in the comments and all the information that was given. Because again, this is something that could happen to anybody. That's why I thought it was best for a woman to take the lead on this episode. This is something that can happen to any one of my loved ones, any one of your loved ones. And we need to, as a community, come together and give those little safety tips, give little, tips and tricks, things that maybe I wouldn't have thought of in a pressure situation. But after seeing this episode, you know what? Maybe I'll push the emergency stop button next time. Like maybe I'll get that keychain off of Amazon. I'll pull that pin and it'll just start screeching. And even if people don't want to help, they so annoyed that thing is screeching. They like, yo, what's going on? Because New York City,
Yeah, you
especially in
might
New
get
York,
this.
you skip a train in New York City. Oh no, because everybody already running late.
You
I don't care
better
if it's
be. You better be in an emergency, okay? Stopping trains.
they have
I
a
got
heart
somewhere to go.
attack. But thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Everybody that's viewing, Lene, thank you so much. I always tell people, and I mean this from the bottom of my heart, you could have been doing anything else, especially like we talked about earlier with all of the ratchet TV and the fight videos and movies and all these enticing different things that, love and hip hop, all that different stuff on, right? And y'all could have been doing anything else, but you guys chose to be here and talk about this and give tips to people that could be bystanders or people who could possibly be in this situation one day, right? So I appreciate you guys so much for that. Before I stop talking for a quick second and I let you two ladies talk, I just want to remind everybody, if you guys have not seen, a better me equals a better we apparel, right? We got different flavors. I know y'all saw the white and black one of this earlier, but I got on the gold and black one now. We got flavors, right? And this is for the people. This is for the people that like. Listen, I love Jesus, I do, but I'm just not all the way there. You ain't finna play with me. You got an issue, you better show Jesus.
Right.
He got everything you need. Don't try me. I ain't finna play. Don't play with
hands.
So that's where we at with that. Dominique, do you have anything for our viewers before we head out?
Man, I thank you. It's always good to have people trust you with their, with their babies, and just shows that people see that you're a good person and you out here trying to do good things. So I just thank you for giving me the opportunity to share my voice, share my opinion, and just hear what everyone else has to hear. There's certain stuff. Then I'm definitely about to go on Amazon and see if I can find that little pin and look. Like I'm gonna try to find all of that. And the self-defense class, I'm definitely, my stepfather. Well, my stepfather, he used to do all that stuff, so he kind of had me okay. But I just to all the women, please be safe out here. Men, we've been talking about y'all for a minute, and we love y'all, and we want to make sure y'all good too. But women, please, as times get harder and holidays come around and you shopping and you maybe not paying attention because you're trying to show so much love to your loved ones, just take a moment to really make sure you check your surroundings, make sure you're good. Get some of this protective stuff that we've talked about, and just be safe out here. I wouldn't want anything like that to happen to anybody. So just be safe, and thank you for having me.
That's a fact. And look, keyword protective stuff, not Shaquanda think I'm playing with her. I got this little key ring. No,
Right.
that's protective. Right? Don't get into an argument with Tawanda and be like, oh, I got this key ring for Tawanda. Like, no, protective. Right? I want to make sure I'm protective. Right? Don't get aggressive with your new toys. All right. Is to protect you in the case of an emergency. I want to make sure we throw that out there because I don't want nobody to catch no case and be like, oh, on the Better Me or Better We podcast, that's what they talk. Nope, I ain't tell you to do that.
Right.
We ain't tell you to do that. Right. So Lene, do you have anything for our viewers before we head out?
I would say the same. Just protect yourself. Watch your surroundings wherever you go, and always have a plan when you go into places. My mother always told me when I used to go out, check and see if there's 2 exits. Check and see who's around you. Check who's watching you. Watch your drink when you go out. So just watch your surroundings and protect yourself, ladies and men, because it happens to men too.
Just one quick thing, it came to my brain. Men, as much as we may say we don't need y'all and y'all get on our nerves and many other things that we may say, we need y'all. We need you guys.
Definitely.
We need you guys, and I just ask that you protect us in ways that we cannot protect ourselves, just as much as we protect you in ways that you cannot protect yourself. My grandma used to always say, a praying woman, and the woman just keep her house up in prayer and all these things, and that's good. That is a way that we protect it, and in many other ways. Men, protect us. We need you. We need you to stand out.
Definitely
on the forefront. We need you guys out there on these streets. We need you. So please don't turn a blind eye to us. Please don't look the other way. Please, when you see me, you see my daughter, you see me, you protect me, okay? If there's somebody behind me and I can't see them, you go get them, okay? But we need you. And I just wanted to make sure that was very clear.
Yeah,
it was clear. It was clear.
Nowadays, I don't need no man.
I
don't need no.
Let that roach come in my house. I'm gonna need a man because I'm not playing.
Listen, it really be like that. So I'm happy that you were able to say something like that, because so many times as men we might feel like that, like we unneeded, or because we hear it so much. So now men, we know they need us. It's time for us to be who we were originally created to be, right? Not this person that the world has made us who we were created to be, right? So let's be that. Again, this was such a tough topic to talk about. It's so crazy that we talked about it in the sense of just bystanders, but it's so much deeper than that. Talk about safety plans. Make a safety plan with someone close to you, with multiple people close to you. I know my sister and my mom, they had a safety plan. Like and I know my dad, he made safety plans for us. Like when we went to school, we had to walk a certain way to school. It's not that we couldn't make a right, make a left, and then make a right, but I need you to walk all the way down till you get here and then turn in this direction. And his philosophy behind that was, in the case that something goes wrong, he knew what route to find us on. And I'm not saying that you have to take the same way to go somewhere, because even that could be something that could be detrimental to you if someone sees you in the same place every day. But I'm saying in the sense of just being able to put a safety plan together with somebody, and even if it's like when you go out, like, listen, girl, I'm going out, I'm gonna take a Uber back. If I text you SOS, then it's a problem. And just some sort of safety plan, right? It's tailored specifically to you, but just create a safety plan with somebody. You always let somebody know where you are. When women, especially if you have a man, let your man know. But yes. It's so deep. Like, I feel like I could just keep talking because it's just so.
Yeah, this is a heavy topic.
Yes, it is.
It's just, but thank you guys again for answering the call. I literally called Dominique 5 minutes before the episode started.
Yeah,
and she
we ain't
said,
gonna talk about that. It's all right.
Yeah.
We ain't gonna talk about that. It's all right. We still
Nah,
live.
right. It wasn't 5 minutes. It wasn't 5 minutes, but it was definitely last minute. And she answered the call, and I appreciate you for that. You did an amazing job. Thank you, everybody who commented. I ain't gonna try to read everybody's name because I don't want to leave anybody out. But you ladies and men in the comments, like, you really gave so much substance, right? And I really appreciate you ladies and gents. And that wraps up episode 27. Innocent or not so innocent bystanders. This was, again, I thought somebody was gonna cry. I thought I was gonna cry, to be honest. I ain't gonna say somebody. I thought I was gonna cry during this episode, but I made it, right? Thank you so much. I appreciate y'all. Look, Natalie saying our comments, Oprah better watch.
Girl, don't get me hyped.
Episode 28. Episode 28. I'm not going to tell you guys what episode 28 is going to be about just yet. I want to leave it open, right? I want to leave it open. If you guys see something that y'all want to talk about, because I realize, like, we've been talking about a lot of good topics, but they all haven't been current. So if at any point you guys see something that you want to talk about, feel free to message me or leave a comment on this video, and let's because this is the people's podcast, right? So I want to see what you guys want to talk about. So I'm not going to announce what I have planned just yet, because I want to see if maybe you guys have something that y'all want to talk about. All right, so that wraps up episode number 27, A Better Me Equals a Better We podcast. You guys stay safe, and just do not forget, a better me equals a better we. I'll see you guys next week, Tuesday at 8 p.m. You guys have a great night.
Thank you.